Today is yoga for stress. If you have yoga blocks are going to be handy today. If you have something that you can use that's about the size and shape of a yoga block, it's going to be handy. If you don't have it, just try and follow along and engage muscles the way that you would as if you were actually holding a block. We're going to do a little bit of opening up the arms and shoulders with them today. So, this is a gentle class, a stay on the ground class, no standing poses. We are going to do a little bit of balance today, but we're going to do it on the mat, like grounded on the mat. So begin on your backs, coming down to your back. Just start to land in the space. Find your hips on the ground. Find your shoulders on the ground. And have the feet down, knees up. I'm just going to sway the knees a little. Side to side. Letting the hips rock. Just starting to adjust and land on the ground. Finding your breath. Take your feet a little bit wider than your hips and continue that little side to side sway of the knees. Side to side. Just letting your hips move and sway. Feeling your hips move on the ground. Feeling how that feels. And then bring both knees in towards the center. Maybe adjust the feet a little until you find that perfect position where your hips are on the ground, your lower back is not pulling, it's nice and soft. Your shoulders are on the ground. The back of your head is on the ground, but the back of your neck is not. There's a nice curve. Your chin is to the ceiling. Maybe bring the palms of your hands towards the ceiling. And really let your shoulders soften into the ground a little more. Think about all of the edges of your mat. As if you could build up a little wall of protection from the edges of your mat and allow everything that is yet to come and everything that has already been be outside those four edges. And this protective wall gives you a little sacred space for the next 60 minutes. Place where the to-do list and everything else is elsewhere, and you are just right here in this moment, in this physical body, having an internal experience. Find your breath. And just observe it. Watch it rolling in and rolling out. Trying not to force it. As soon as we bring attention to it, often we start to pull nice and slow with a lot of muscular force. But first, just start to observe the breath. Allow it to roll in, roll out. Notice if you are naturally breathing in and out through your nose, or maybe you're using your mouth. Perhaps adjust to breathing in nice and slow through the nose. And then choosing whether you wish to exhale through the nose or softly through the mouth. Maybe you wish to sigh out a little through the mouth. And then begin to feel your feet on the ground. Start to take little wiggles of the toes. Roll the feet onto the outside edges of the feet and kind of press a little into the feet, just starting to activate the feet.
Kaylee, I'm awake. I just don't want to move.
And then bring the feet onto the inside edges of the feet and kind of shuffle and move and play with the weight along the feet, waking up your feet. Bring the feet onto the heels, lift the toes, and just kind of pulse left to right. Press a little more into the left heel, a little more into the right heel, and let the body rock slowly. However it rocks, just starting to have an experience. So we're looking for places of tension in the body. Lower the left foot and bring the right knee towards the chest. And we're going to hold on to the right leg and look at the right foot. So we're going to take circles with the right foot by pressing the ball of the foot away from us, drawing the toes back to the shin, and then taking the circle with the foot as slow as we can and trying to move with the foot, not the shin. So as slow as you can. Find as many muscles in your foot and look at your foot. Notice places where your foot seems to be stronger. And notice places that seem to be like, oh, I don't want to do that movement. Muscles are weaker. And then spread the toes really, 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 really wide, looking at your foot, feeling the muscles in your foot. And then take your foot left to right from the ankle down, moving slow, spreading the toes, finding some muscles in your foot. Maybe taking out some cracks and creaks. And then holding on to the thigh, we're going to move the shin in a circle. So nice and slow, trying to make all of the movement with the lower leg and not the thigh. Notice how much the thigh wants to make the circle happen. Looking at the leg, finding places where you feel weak or strong. Reverse your circle. And then bring your hip down onto the ground. Your leg is going to float, and you're going to take a circle with the whole leg, bending the knee, thinking about the hip. So we're making a circle from the hip, but try and keep this slow and strong. We're not rolling through the hip joint. We're trying to find muscles. Finding that mind-body connection. Notice when the lower back seems to want to do all the work, change your circle, reverse the direction. And then bring the knee up towards the right shoulder. So hold and hover it here, flex the foot. Find some inner thigh activation and ground the left foot and the left hip. So both hips are grounded on the ground. Hold and hover this leg here. Notice if your arms or your back or your shoulders are compensating. Hold this leg here. And we're going to push the foot away and then bring the knee back up. So this is pushing. We're not floating or flopping. We're pushing the leg active and strong. Push the foot away and then bring it back towards the shoulder. Push and back. Finding some muscles in the inner thigh. Nice slow breath. Notice what the back is doing. Maybe pull the stomach a little more towards the spine, trying to make the stomach keep the back stable, not all those back muscles cramping and gripping. And then bring the knee up towards the shoulder and then bring it in towards the center with the leg active and strong. Out and in. Small movement, lots of leg activation. In towards center, out to the side. Nice and slow. Bring both knees in towards the chest. Take the legs up towards the ceiling and give them a good kick and shake. Really get them shaking. Release some tension. And then a little knees into chest, a little hug. Place both feet on the ground, knees up, and notice left and right legs. Just did a bunch of work on the right side. Notice how it feels. Notice any changes. Maybe you can feel places that seem looser or tighter on one side than the other. Really checking in, having an internal experience. The whole point of all of the things we do in yoga is to figure out what's going on inside your physical body and inside your mental state, your emotional state. Physical, the mental, the emotional, they're all closely linked. Bring the left knee up. And we're going to look at the toes. We're going to spread the toes really, really, really wide. And then we're going to push the ball of the foot away, and we're going to take really slow circles, looking at the foot and trying hard to make the movement come not from the shin, but only from the foot, and finding the muscles in the foot. So finding all the places, finding the mind-body connection, turning on sensitivity to what's going on inside your own body. Reverse your circles. Sometimes when we work a foot, we might find a hip starts finding tension. We just notice these things. Bring our awareness here. Press the ball of the foot away, and then you're going to take it left and right, nice and slow. Really noticing which muscles fire to make this movement. Then holding on to the shin, circles with the lower leg as much as possible, trying not to move with the thigh, finding muscles, finding tension, finding weak spots. Nice slow circles. And then keeping the hips grounded, we're going to release the leg and take big circles with the knee. Slow as you can, really feeling that left hip. And then reverse your circle. And then open the knee up towards the left. Flex the foot nice and strong and active. Hips grounded, knee towards shoulder, and then press the foot away. Nice and strong. Knee to shoulder, press away. You can match it with your breath. Inhaling, lifting knee. Exhaling, pressing the foot away. Looking for compensation patterns in the body. And then bring that knee up towards the shoulder, active and strong. And we're going to bring the knee in and then out, nice and slow. Again, looking for compensation patterns. Maybe your left foot or your left glute, your right foot or your right glute is pressing and gripping. Notice. Try and bring some focus into that inner thigh space. Little attention to the stomach, keeping the back nice and strong and grounded. Keeping the hips strong and grounded, sorry. And then bring that down. Bring it, knees into the chest. Give yourself a hug. And take your feet up to the sky and wiggle it out. Loosen, soften, lots of shakes. See if you can get a little side to side wiggle with the hips. Really soften and loosen. Bring the knees in. And notice left and right sides. So we don't use our body evenly. So maybe they still feel different. Notice. And bring your feet down. And just find a comfortable place for your knees, your feet, your hips. We're going to bring our arms out wide, palms up. Trying to make sure that our neck is not pressing down into the ground. We're going to press the backs of our hands into the ground. So our hands are about even with the shoulders. Press the backs of the hands into the ground. So notice what you need to fire to press this. Press, press, press. Notice what your lower back is doing. Notice what your neck is doing. Try to fire with the arms and shoulders. Breathe. And then let go and do little pulses on and off. On and off. Pressing your hands into the ground, firing up the shoulders, and noticing as you do it more often, do you get distracted? Do you start to use your lower back? Do you start to use your neck? Trying to use your arms and shoulders. And then flip the palms. Bring the palms of the hands to the ground and draw the arms a little bit more down towards the hips. Now we're going to press the palms of the hands into the ground. So fire up the arms and shoulders and look for where you're compensating. Notice, feet should be soft, hips should be soft, lower back should be soft, just arms and shoulders. Fire, press hard. Fire up all these muscles in your arms and shoulders, and then little pulses on and off. And let that go. Bring the arms back, shoulder height, palms facing the ceiling. We're going to inhale, and then as we exhale, draw the arms slowly up towards each other. And then inhale, open. Exhale, press the arms together. Press, active. Inhale, open. Spread your fingers wide, activate the hands. And then inhale, open the arms, hold the arms hovering above the ground. Fingers spread wide, hover and hold. Notice how heavy your arms start to get. Squeeze the arms only. Soften the face, soften the back, soften the feet. Look for those compensation patterns. Use your arms and shoulders. Spread the fingers wide, soften the face a little more. And then we're going to bring the arms down towards the hips, nice and slow. All the way down, active, strong arms. Notice any compensation patterns and then slowly back. Try to make this only with the arms. Bigger muscles are going to want to come to the party. Your lower back, your glutes. Notice, try to soften your glutes, try to soften your back. Make this movement with your arms and shoulders. Notice how heavy your arms are. And then allow your arms to drop down to the ground. Allow your shoulders to soften and sway the knees side to side, nice and slow. Loosening, softening. We fire up muscles so that we know how it feels to fire them up. And then we know the opposite, how to soften them. Sometimes we are all fired up, all of our muscles are cramping and fired, and we have no idea. So firing up those muscles that often hold tension and then loosening and softening them. Bring your knees back towards the ceiling, comfortable. And then we're going to take our hands above the shoulders, reaching towards the ceiling, and we're going to wiggle the hands. Wiggle the hands, soften, and wiggle the arms, just as we did with the legs. Wiggle, soften. Try and get some vibrations, maybe letting the shoulders pulse on the ground, so letting the shoulders wiggle left and right. Trying to get those little vibrations, really shake it out. You're trying to let go and get rid of all of the stress and tension held in the body. And then bring the legs and take the legs up too. Really shake, tantrum pose. Imagine you're a little 2-year-old and you just need to get rid of all of that energy that's stored up. Get rid of it, let it go. And then bring it down. Find a comfortable position for your body to land and notice how you feel. Find your breath. And then we're going to go on to an intentional breath practice. So bringing our hips down to the ground and finding a comfortable position for our legs. You can go into full Shavasana if that's your preferred pose, or keep your knees down, feet down, knees up, and let your knees soften in towards each other. Find a grounded position for your hips, and if you like to feel super grounded, bring some warmth to your hands by rubbing your hands together and then placing your warm hands on your hips. And imagine that your warm hands could go through your hips, through everything, all the way to the ground, softening and releasing any tension in this space, as if you have magic healing hands. And just by your own loving and kind, unconditional touch, you could soften and release any stored tension in this space. Feel a little more grounded. Start to feel your breath. Watch your breath as it goes in. Feel it. Experience your breath rolling in all the way down, moving your lower stomach, and then all the way back up. And then we're going to bring our awareness to our lower parts of our lungs. So if you like, you can place your hands just underneath your rib cage, just to remind you where you're focusing on. And you're going to slowly breathe in, intentionally filling up the lower part of your lungs. So really, really, really thinking and connecting with the lower part of your lungs. Breathing in fully and exhaling fully. Thinking very, very strongly about your lower corners of your lungs. If you're a visual person, you can imagine a color. Breathing in a color and it filling up to the bottom of your lungs, and really picturing your lungs filling up with this color all the way at the bottom of your lungs. And then bring your awareness to the sides of your lungs. If you want to bring your hands across and just feel each rib cage, or just leave your arms down on the ground. We're going to imagine filling up the sides of our lungs. So imagine your lungs on the sides, gently pressing in, expanding your rib cage. Imagine your breath could gently press through each rib, filling up the sides of your lungs. And again, if you're breathing in a color, imagine it just gently filling up, expanding your rib cage, and filling up in between each rib. And then bring your focus to the back part of your lungs. Noticing the part of your back that's touching the ground. And then gently imagine that you can fill up your breath so much in the back of your lungs that you're gently lifting yourself up off the ground with your breath. And then finally bring your awareness to just underneath your collarbone. Watching your collarbones rise and fall with your breath, filling up the top corners of your lungs. And then gently let all focus on your breath go and check in. How are you doing? How do you feel physically, mentally, emotionally? And ask yourself how you are. How am I? The way that you would to a dear friend. With kindness and compassion and just listening to the answer without judgment. And softly bring a knee in at a time towards the chest. Give yourself a little hug, maybe even rock it. And then roll on over to a side using a hand to press up. Nice and slow, come to a tabletop position. So finding your hands on the ground. Really feeling your hands on the ground. Making some space for your wrists. So maybe even moving your hands a little bit further away. Having lots of space for your wrist. Starting to really engage your hands. So pressing into the hands, wiggling the fingers, finding some muscles in your hands. And then lift the pinky fingers only, press all of the other fingers down. And then lift the ring fingers only, press all the other fingers down. Lift the middle fingers only. Lift the index fingers, and then lift the thumbs. Just really looking at the hands and noticing the muscles that fire up to lift the thumbs, lift the fingers. And bring that down. Press into the ball part of the hand, so lift right underneath the fingers and lift the wrists up off the ground and press into the hands like you're trying to push the hands away from you. Make a little more space for the wrists. Pull the shoulders back towards the hips, activate the arms a little more, and then take a little left to right, side to side. Really engage, noticing the muscles in your arms and shoulders. And then we're going to move and breathe full body here. So inhale, tabletop. Exhale, send the hips backwards, engaged arms and hands. Inhale forward. Exhale back. tuning in, having a full internal experience. Maybe you want to sway the hips in more circular movement, finding some exploration, finding what your body needs. Maybe you need to sway the back and find some more spinal flow. And then settle into tabletop. You're going to turn and look towards the left heel. And then slowly turn and look towards the right. And then start to make this movement as big or as small as you need. Moving, flowing, experiencing. Finding where you're holding stress. And then bring it back to tabletop, and we're going to take torso rolls, nice and soft and slow. Big, slow torso rolls. And then reverse the direction. And then bring it back to tabletop. If you have the blocks, grab the blocks. We're going to place our forearms down on the blocks. If not, you can bring your forearms down to the ground or onto pillows. Whatever you have, let your hands loose. So bring your hands loose over the blocks. Arms are down. Using the blocks to keep your arms a little lifted, we're going to send the hips backwards and then press the forearms down into the blocks. So notice where that fires up in the arms and shoulders. Go slow and gentle. Press down into the blocks. And then bring the shoulders back towards the wrists. And pressing down into the blocks with the forearms, and feel like you're trying to pull the arms apart. Notice how that feels. And then take a little side to side with the shoulders. Small, slow, controlled movement. Watch for compensation patterns in the hands. Let the wrists take a break. Feel the shoulders. Feel the muscles. Take the tension out of the neck. And bring it back to center and a little tiny bit forward and a little tiny bit back. Pressing the arms down into the blocks. Wrists loose, arms and shoulders active. Trying to isolate shoulders. And bring that forward. Bring the back of the elbow, so just behind the elbow, onto the block on both arms. Maybe clasp your hands over your head and just sink back, opening up the back of the arms. You might need to wiggle around. Breathe, find your breath. Bring your upper body up. Swing your feet out. Keep one of your blocks with you. Place the feet on the ground. Get nice and steady. Have your block handy. We're going to come backwards with our arms. Beginning, your fingertips can point towards the hips or a little bit out. Find a position that is really comfortable for your arms, wrists, and shoulders. We're going to begin to take a little weight into the arms and shoulders this way. So first engaging, nice and strong in the shoulders, and then take a little weight into the arms. hold it here and notice your compensation patterns. So really noticing what the lower back is doing, trying to take a little strength into the stomach. Get really, really, really strong, and then you can take little pulses with the triceps. If you would like to add a little squeeze of the block between the knees, this can help keep a little engagement and keep the lower back from doing any tweaking. Little small pulses with the triceps. Squeeze the core. Try to take the tension out of the neck. And then bring the upper body back up. Wiggle the fingers out and then pull the chest forward. Press the palms of the hands wide down on the ground. Press into the hands, activate the arms, and then take a little side to side with the shoulders. Slow and controlled, feeling your shoulders. Bring the upper body back up. Release your block if you have it. Come to a seat, comfortable seat, whatever that is for you. Maybe sitting on a block, maybe sitting on a meditation cushion or a pillow, whatever you have. Just coming to a seat because we're going to be here for a little bit. So bringing your right hand down, fingertips down like a claw. Bring your left hand on top and just kind of feel the wrist. Little rubs, little circulation. And then the other side. Notice what your shoulders are doing. Maybe give them a little soft wiggle.
Wingle.
I'm tripping over my tongue today. And then take your right hand, go up your forearm, little grasps. Like a little self-massage. All the way up to the shoulder, grab the shoulder, and then all the way down. Other side. And all the way down. And then shake the arms out. We're going to do a little bit more shoulder work. So getting nice and tall in the spine. Palms are going to face up. We're going to activate the arms. So press the arms down strong. Shoulders are active. We're going to inhale as we lift the arms up. Exhale as we press the arms back. All in arms and shoulders. Try not to lift the back and the torso. We're doing arms and shoulders. So nice and strong and steady in the torso. And trying to make this movement just come from the arms. Let that go. Loosen the arms and soften the arms a little. Hold the arms down. This time, face the palms backwards. We're going to inhale as we lift the arms behind us. Exhale as we push the arms back towards us. Inhale as we lift. Exhale as we push. Doesn't need to be a large movement. Just strong in the arms and shoulders. Noticing what the back and the face are doing, feeling, having an experience. Let that go. Loosen it out. Soften it out. Shake it out a little. Bring the hands to heart center and really center. Feel the shoulders. And bring the arms straight forward from the shoulders, palms facing. Inhale as we open wide. And exhale as we draw them back together nice and slow. Inhale, open. Exhale, press together. And then start to make this more of a full body experience. So inhale, open, lift the chest. Exhale, round the belly. Imagine you're learning to fly, opening. Strengthening your wings. And then bring your arms down. Soften the shoulders. Flick the arms. Soften and loosen. Hands back to prayer. Check in. Notice. And then a little bit of neck work. So you're going to use a block here. If you don't have it, just imagine you're squeezing your block. Squeeze the block and engage the shoulders and arms. So feel the shoulders and arms being squeezed and engaged. Not pressing like you're trying to really crush it, but you're engaged. Bring your chin down towards your chest. Still engaged. Bring your chin all the way up to the ceiling. Back to neutral, ear to shoulder. Back to neutral, ear to shoulder. Back to neutral, bring the block slowly up overhead while keeping that arm and shoulder engagement. And then take your arms and shoulders a little bit over to the left, squeezing the core just a little bit. A little bit over to the right. And then back through center. Squeezing the block still, bring it down. Notice what your neck is doing. Soften it. Let the block low. Soften the shoulders. And then bring the chin down towards the chest. Notice. Chin towards ceiling. Chin to neutral, ear to shoulder. Chin to neutral, ear to shoulder. And then roll the shoulders nice and soft and slow. Bring the hands active. So we're going to press the hands down into the ground. So hands are active and strong. Now see if you can soften the shoulders. Keeping the hands and arms active and strong, but see if you can soften shoulders, only hands and arms. See if you can do it. Start to isolate muscles. And then let that go. We're going to bring our arms to a W, so palms up, elbows in. And we're going to pull our elbows behind us. Now we're starting to find our back muscles. So notice what your lower back is doing. We're going to squeeze the elbows in towards each other and then press the hands away from us. Squeeze the elbows in, press the hands away, nice and slow. Notice your neck. We're trying to find the muscles right in the mid-back, underneath the shoulder blades. We're also keeping our hands and arms nice and strong and active. Try to soften the neck. Try to soften the face. And then let that go. Soften it out. Slowly make your way through tabletop and then all the way down to crocodile. So stomach down. One hand on top of the other, forehead down, shimmy the hips. What can you let go of? Notice what comes up in this position. Try to sit with it. Can you soften your shoulders a little more? Can you soften your neck a little more? Maybe soften your lower back a little more. Can you soften the soles of your feet? And then tuck the toes. So tuck the toes, trying not to activate anything else. Tuck the toes. Press into the toes and then press the heels away from you. Little tiny engagement. Press the heels and maybe pump left or right. Little soft movement. Feeling the feet and feeling the back of the heels, the backs of the legs. Small movement. And then bend the knees and bring the heels active towards the ceiling. Toes spread wide, feet strong. Hold here. So activate the muscles. Slowly bring the heels all the way down towards the ground. Outside, they're not going to go very far. Active feet. Slowly bring the heels back towards each other. Kick the heels together. And then slowly away. Squeeze together and then slowly apart. Notice which muscles are making this movement. Notice if you started to bring tension around your shoulders and your face. Make this about your legs and your feet. And then bring the heels about even with the hips, just above the knees, strong and active. Without using the back, lift the right knee. Slowly bring it down, lift the left. So try to do this without the back. You're doing it with the heel and the leg and a little bit of the glute. Try to soften the back and then bring it down. Fire up, push the heel up, knee up. Little squeeze of the lower core in front of the hips. Notice which side is easier to lift. Go left or right. Press the knee up. Press the heel to the ceiling. Notice which side is easier. Left to right. Left to right. Nice and slow. And then bring the right leg down. Bring the left knee towards the left shoulder. Let the heel find the ground. Press the heel into the ground and then lift the left knee. Pressing the heel, you're not actually going to lift the left knee very far. Press the heel, lift the knee. You're going to fire up that left glute hip area. See if you can lift the knee. Little pulses on and off. And bring that back. Bring the right knee towards the right shoulder, heel down. Press the heel into the ground and lift the knee up off the ground. It's just the action, the intention of lifting the knee. See if you can get it up. You might be able to get it up enough to slip a credit card underneath it. Press, lift.
I pulled myself in the eye.
Slide that back. Bring the heels back to the ceiling and sway the heels left to right, nice and slow. Let that go.
My eyeball.
And bring the feet down to the ground. A little soft tuck of the toes, or you can keep the tops of the feet down. Toes active or not, we're going to start to use the upper back. So bring our shoulders up off the ground to hover. Bring our arms long, palms hover just above the ground. Try to take the tension out of the neck. You're lifting the shoulders. Fly. So see if you can find more muscles in the back to use. You can use the mid back, the low back, the glutes a little bit more evenly. Maybe fire up the legs. Maybe the toes are tucked. Maybe they're pointed. Fire up. Use the low back like you're flying through the air. And then we're going to fly. So bring the palms down to hover close, the shoulders down, and then fly up. Exhale as you lower. Inhale as you lift.
My eye really burns. I don't know what I did.
Inhale as you lift. Maybe starting to lift the toes also. And bring it back to crocodile. Shuffle the hips, shimmy the hips, and soften and let go. And notice where there is any residual tension. Find your breath. And this time we're going to set out arms come even with the shoulders. Lift and hover arms. Bring the arms back towards the hips, nice and strong. Lift the shoulders a little more, engage the entire back. And then we're going to take right hand towards right hip and left hand towards left hip. Slow, careful, finding muscle engagement, maybe starting to move the arms a little more. As long as you can find active muscles the whole movement. Finding your strength, take the tension out of the neck, use the muscles of the back. And then bring it back to crocodile. And again, shimmy the hips and soften and notice what you can let go of. We're going to roll back over onto our backs. Find your feet onto the ground, knees up. We're going to plant our feet, so make sure you're nice and comfortable. Plant your feet, and then just let the hips shimmy and pulse. A little lift and drop, a little left and right. Wiggle the hips. We're trying to release tension, so find any wiggles that feel good. Trying to find a little shuffle and wiggle through the hips, a little pulse. Trying to release tension. Trying to let go. And then let that go and start to land on the ground. I'm going to show you how to set up a more restorative position with Kaylee. So if you have a pillow or a bunch of pillows, you're going to lay down and place them in underneath your knees.
Sorry, I just clumped on your foot.
So finding that position where you can find your hips on the ground, but you're not overly rounding and flattening your lower back to the ground. You still have that soft curve of your lower back. Your hips are grounded. Your knees are soft. Your ankles and feet are soft. You're landed on the ground. All the stretching and moving is done. So the goal of this pose is your resting pose, your releasing pose. Invitation today to find your arms really wide, open, wide from the shoulders, away from the body, palms facing the ceiling. So landing on the ground, nice and open, like you're flying. So today I picked a reading from the Book of Awakening, Mark Nepo. Revealing who we are. No bird can fly without opening its wings, and no one can love without exposing their heart. It is perhaps the oldest of inner laws, as inescapable as gravity. There is no chance of lifting into any space larger than yourself without revealing the parts that you hold closer to your chest. Anytime you hesitate revealing who you are, picture yourself as a bird perched on a roof, wings tucked tight at your sides. To enter a relationship without opening your heart is to jump off that roof without spreading your wings. It's true that baby birds hesitate the first time out of the nest, but once tasting the air, it is in their nature to open and rise and close and land. This is their life, and it is ours too. The paradox, of course, is that we must trust the power to lift and land. For us, we must trust that the power to lift and land for us is in revealing what we hide. Once revealed, these tender things become our wings. So finding your wings. What is it that you hold so tight, so close to your chest, that you can perhaps soften and let go of? Maybe there are some things that we hold close to our chest, some things that we may have judged ourselves poorly over. Perhaps we can soften and let that burden go. And rather than severing ourselves as this part of me is negative and that part is positive, this is bad and that is good, imagine that you could spread your wings open wide and accept yourself as whole and complete. The good, the bad, the wrong, the right, all of it. The things that have happened, the things that have yet to happen, the things that perhaps we felt a little shameful, the things that we've regretted, the things that we've celebrated. All of this is us. It's all our story. Spreading our wings wide, accepting ourselves, and letting go. If you're in a fantastic space and you have the time to take, please remain in your resting pose for as long as you feel you need. If you have the time, take the time. And if you have 60 minutes, we're coming up on that 60-minute mark. So if that's all you have to give today, begin to slowly come out. Bring a knee in at a time, wrap up in a little ball, and then curl over to whichever side is calling to you. Ground down in a fetal position, connecting with the fetal position. So we often believe that to live as a yogi is to live with an open heart, believing that nothing will ever go wrong, everything's rosy. This kind of false sense of positivity. And it's not that living with an open heart means nothing will ever go wrong. That's not possible. We try to live with an open heart, knowing that we are strong enough to connect back in and take the breaks we need. Connect within to this internal heart center, the part beneath all the layers, the part beneath all the judgment, all the self-criticism, all the negative self-talk, this bliss layer inside. We know that when things go wrong, we can connect back in and we can get through. And we know that the burden of living with a closed heart is much harder than just walking strong, holding our own backs, moving forward with an open heart. So connecting into the fetal position and reminding ourselves of a time in the womb when all of our needs were met, when we had not judged ourselves as negative or positive. We were simply that little spark of life. Come to this pose to remind yourself that the spark of life exists within us unchanged by our experiences. And taking our time, returning to a seated position, bringing your hands to prayer at heart space, connecting our left and right sides in front of our heart, as if accepting ourselves as whole and complete, exactly as we are. May we all know love, light, and connection. Thanks for joining us.